So good morning, everyone. My name is Celso Matos. I'm the head of the imaging department here at Champalimaud Foundation. And it's a real pleasure to welcome you. Certainly, AI is filled with attraction looking at this auditorium at this moment. And I would like to address a note of thanks to the outstanding faculty who reached to build a very nice program for this two-day symposium. And a special note of thanks to Dow-Mu Koh and Fred Pryor, as well as Andrea Rockall, who were instrumental in putting together this excellent program. Also a special note of thanks to Louise Musto and Teresa Fernandes, who were managing the logistics of this special meeting. Now, we are here in a very special place. This is an hybrid foundation or institute devoted to biomedical research and translational research involving basic research and the clinics. And I guess the best person to introduce the institution to all of you is our president. I'm really privileged that she accepted to come and to say some welcome words to all of you. So thank you very much, Dr. Leonor Beleza, for accepting our invitation, and I will invite you to come to the podium.
Good morning. It is my pleasure indeed to welcome you all here to this building and to our foundation and to this meeting. I would like to begin by offering my thanks to the organizers and to thank all of you who created such a fascinating program for these 2 days. From our side, I am grateful to Celso Matos and Nikos Papanikolaou, who both contributed to this meeting, helped create this meeting, and they both contribute greatly to the research which is done in the Champalimaud Foundation. Today, I thank them for their involvement in this event, as I thank all the other organizers, all the members of the organizing committee, and all the members of the outstanding faculty who will be taking the stage here on these 2 days. For many of you, this is probably, I guess, the first time you are in the Champalimaud Foundation, and in this building we named Champalimaud Center for the Unknown. So I would like to take this opportunity, as Celso said, to introduce you to our organization and to the work we undertake here to advance biomedical research. You may already know that you are currently standing on the very site where Vasco da Gama and the first generations of Portuguese navigators set sail in search of new worlds, of new seas, of new places, of new adventures. I like to think that 500 years later, our philosophy here maintains their spirit of adventure, ambition, and risk. In research, we strive to support projects that empower our scientists to follow their instincts in a way that often permits high-risk, high-reward projects that might not always be permissible elsewhere. So the unknown in our name reflects both the historical search for the unknown and the search for the new scientific frontiers that we strive for every day in this building. Our organization is built on the belief in multidisciplinary collaboration and translational research. I know that both of these themes will be important in your discussions over the next 2 days, and both are fundamental to the working culture you will see here. In particular, we are committed to our philosophy we call of fusion research, where scientists and clinicians are embedded in each other's worlds. Inside these two worlds is the fundamental role of technology in modern oncology care. So many of the advances of this century, we know, will be driven by the power of technology, data, and AI. So we have ensured that these are central components of our methodology. On the one hand, there can be no true breakthroughs without using these tools. On the other, the benefits of this technology extend beyond medicine itself and onto the way we can improve the comfort and well-being of our patients and their families. Nowadays, to offer great medical care, we need to join engineers and computer experts to the more traditional teams of scientists and medical staff. Here we engage in the Champalimaud Center for the Unknown, we engage in activities mostly in two different areas, cancer and neuroscience. In the field of cancer, we strive to drive research that feeds into new cures and techniques in a clinical setting. This work has generated important breakthroughs, many of which are already reaching patients. Among other areas, our work in developing single-dose radiotherapy, new immunotherapy tools, new therapeutic approaches to colorectal tumors, and novel imaging tools for clinical and preclinical studies has yielded significant results. Our work in the field of neuroscience has been no less productive. Within this building, our neuroscience program develops basic science that has been widely recognized by the international scientific community. Our research groups apply advanced molecular, physiological, and imaging tools to drive forward our understanding of neural circuits and systems. The success of many parts of this program has also been helped by use of artificial intelligence, which has supported breakthroughs on areas such as group behavior and motor learning. The next phase of our project is already underway, and I am pleased to share with you this new frontier of our work here in Lisbon. In September last year, we were pleased to announce a donation of 50 million euros to build the world's first center dedicated only to finding and using new tools in the fight against pancreatic cancer. Construction of the new Champalimaud Pancreatic Cancer Center began right this week and was created thanks to the vision and philanthropy of Mauricio and Charlotte Boton. The Boton family, a Spanish family, placed their trust in us as a recognition for what we have already achieved and in the belief that we can use their support to advance the field. We are honored by their trust and ready to use our vision and expertise to fight one of the most feared of cancers. What links all of our work together is our belief in the power of collaboration and a commitment to ensuring that our approach to research is truly multidisciplinary. This belief connects the Champalimaud Foundation very strongly to the theme of your meeting here this week. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have the power to radically transform the field of healthcare. But to truly unleash its full power, it is essential that scientists and medical professionals from across all fields can come together to share knowledge, needs, and expertise. It is very pleasing, therefore, to welcome here specialists from oncology, imaging, and AI, as well as participants from across healthcare, research, and industry, to share their thoughts on this area. It is crucial for all of us to consider the fundamental role of IT and technology companies in the future of healthcare. As we look to the future, we can consider these to be partners, competitors, or both. If we do not integrate their tools into our visions of healthcare, then we may find ourselves replaced by the solutions they will develop without us. and so the need to collaborate with the best IT and technology companies and to be actively involved in developing these new solutions becomes even greater. So, I am delighted that you have brought your expertise and ambition to the Champalimaud Center for the Unknown. I am sure that these will be 2 very productive days. You will have an opportunity to look at the present and assess what brings us together. I thank all of you for having come and having organized. I especially thank Dow-Mu Koh and Fred Pryor and all of the others who have helped us put this meeting together. And I hope that we will all take advantage of this opportunity to look to the future and actually see the big opportunities that lie ahead. I thank you all for being here and look forward to all that our shared scientific future will bring. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Leonor Beleza. Of course, this is a joint venture between ICIS and Champalimaud Foundation. So I guess the chairman of the board of the ICIS should come to the podium now and to address some words about on behalf of the society. Thank you, Mu, for coming.
So good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see so many familiar and also unfamiliar faces in the auditorium. So it's a great pleasure that the ICIS, or International Cancer Imaging Society, has this opportunity to do this joint meeting with the Champalimaud Foundation. The ICIS Society is probably the oldest cancer imaging society, and at the heart of the society are fellows who are elected, and each of the fellow is an expert in a certain aspect of cancer imaging. And every year they travel on their own expense to come together at the annual teaching course, which is held in October every year. And at the heart of what we do is really trying to strive for excellence and innovation. And today's meeting, AI and machine learning, hopefully will bring together both, and together with the vision of Champalimaud, I think it is a tremendous opportunity for us to come together, to learn from one another, to interact in this space, and really try to address some of the challenges that face radiologists and also allied health professionals in really steering the direction of travel in this area for years to come. So hopefully we'll all have a really enjoyable day. 2 days together. I'd like to thank all the faculty members who have traveled from various parts of the world to get here. I'd like to thank the organizing committee for their dedication to make this happen. And of course, without the support of the Champalimaud Foundation, we will not be in this beautiful city of Lisbon and in this beautiful space to conduct the meeting. So thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you very much, Mu, and I'm going to be chairing the first session, and thank you, Mu, for inviting me to do so. And this will be really based on reviewing the clinical challenges that we face in clinical practice and the possibilities that AI and machine learning can offer us in the cancer imaging field. And we have 3 excellent speakers. First, Mu will be speaking about our attitudes and perceptions to AI, followed by clinical challenges from Eva Sala, and Charles Kahn will be talking about how AI can be harnessed in cancer imaging. So it's my great pleasure to introduce the first speaker, Mu Koh. He really needs no introduction. Professor of Functional Cancer Imaging at the Marsden and Chair of the Executive Board of International Cancer Imaging Society. Thank you, Mu.
Thank you very much. So for the first 20 minutes, I want to take you through a survey that we conducted as part of this driver for this meeting. And really, we look at the history of imaging, or cancer imaging for that matter. It has been developed through a series of disrupting technology, be it X-ray, ultrasound, CT, MRI, all the latest hybrid imaging. And I would submit that deep learning, the emergence of deep learning in the 2010s represent one such disrupting technology for imaging. Now, the thing about disrupting technology is that if you adopt the technology, then you're going to progress along the chain. But if you're not going to adopt the technology, then unfortunately, you're going to be left behind. Now, the problem is that there are wide sort of perception out there in the radiological community whether this is a good thing or bad thing. But I think the general consensus, I think, if you talk to people practicing radiology, is that this is something that is not really at the top of most radiologists' mind. And the reason is that AI is not confined to a machine. You can't buy AI like you buy an MRI scanner and try to learn what that machine can do for you. The technology is much more diffuse. It's based on mathematics and informatics. That's just not the natural language of radiologists to speak. Now, it is, no doubt, it is happening so exponentially, and it has such wide applicability in imaging and healthcare that most radiologists struggle to get onto this platform. And it is not helped by limited dialogue between developers and the wider imaging community as to how best to take this progress forward. And we have seen many emerging products, people jumping on the bandwagon to say, well, we've got AI tools, but many of them are costly without necessarily proven benefit or performance. So really, we set out to do this survey to understand the current attitudes and perception of radiologists and allied professionals to AI and machine learning, specifically in cancer imaging. And we hope that these findings can inform discussion of how best to develop and prioritize AI tools for cancer imaging. So we developed this qualitative research methodology with Dr. Ann Mouse, who is an expert in health qualitative research at Birkbeck University at the Department of Psychology in the United Kingdom. The organizing committee reviewed and approved the questionnaire. It was administered through SurveyMonkey on our online URL link. We made publicity through personal contacts, radiological societies, healthcare groups, social media, and direct marketing to get people to respond to this. And we opened the survey for 6 months between November and April, November last year and April this year. So with a completion rate of 664 total responses, the total number of radiologists who responded was 569, and allied professional 95. So for the rest of the talk, because of time, I'm just going to focus on the responses that we gathered from the radiologists. So what did we ask? First, we collected some demographics: age, sex, country, practice setting, professional level, number of years in practice, and how much work did they undertake in cancer imaging. And these are the results. So we can see that there was a very good distribution across all age groups. So we're not only looking at either the very young or very old. There were slightly more males than females in the group. And we have more than 40 countries represented from the survey. The majority of them were in the so-called more developed countries, as you can see from the chart: Portugal, United Kingdom, Hong Kong, United States, Germany, Austria represented where most of the responses came from. And you can see that there was also good representation from both general and academic hospitals, so this is not limited to just a skewed distribution of people, with a smaller number of people coming from the private clinic. And in terms of the people who responded, majority of them are consultant or attending level or senior academic staff. So these are the potential decision makers from the sector. And the majority, as you see, were also experienced radiologists with more than 10 years in practice. So I do think that their perception is actually important because these are potential decision makers in their respective hospitals. And in terms of how much work involved cancer imaging, you can see that most of them are involved in at least reading 25% of the daily work as part of this cancer imaging. So then we asked a series of general statements. So we first asked them what did they think was the balance of view, risk versus benefit with AI machine learning being used in imaging. And we also wanted to know how do they think the job of the radiologist would be impacted in the next 5 years because of this development. And thankfully, I think the majority thinks that the benefits are much bigger or slightly bigger than the risk, but I think you can see most of the responders think that the benefits are much bigger than the risks, and very few actually thought that the risks are bigger than the benefits. And then the majority thought that in the next 5 years, at least, AI tool will be used in some area that will make a small positive impact, but I don't think the view out there is that this is going to radically transform what we do at the moment. But the substantial proportion, 23%, actually think that, well, it will make a large and substantial benefit to the radiologist's expertise. We then asked a series of questions whether the respondents agreed or disagreed with known perceptions or viewpoints. And we did this by asking them a series of slightly negative statements and also a series of positive statements. We sort of mixed them together so that there is just to make sure that we don't steer the responders in a very particular way when they are answering these questions. So for the potential negative impact, we wanted to know whether, what radiologists thought about, or to what extent they agreed or disagreed about whether AI and machine learning could replace the job of the radiologist, how they might dictate the workflow, whether we end up with fewer radiologists in each department, whether we would devalue radiology as a profession, and whether AI would indeed outperform radiologists for disease detection within a decade, and to what extent radiologists dislike tools that really compromise their individuality. I think that is something that we need to consider in developing these tools, because at the same time, as we strive for objectivity and uniformity, we are human after all, and people like their individuality. On the side of positive statement, we also asked whether they felt to what extent AI and machine learning could alert radiologists to abnormal finding, increase work efficiency, make diagnostic suggestion when radiologist is not sure, and who should be responsible if an error is made, and whether AI and machine learning could actually change the way we practice radiology by making more time available for direct patient interaction and patient care. So we'll just go through the negative statements first. So I think most radiologists disagree that the AI and machine learning could replace the job of the radiologist. But you can see that there is some disagreement about how that might dictate how radiologists are going to work in the future. So with a substantial agreeing and a substantial disagreeing. We also asked whether there will be fewer radiologists, and this relates to what is unknown. We just really don't know to what degree it will affect job security and job numbers in the future. And most people disagree that the AI and machine learning would devalue radiology as a profession. And there's also disagreement to what extent AI will perform radiologists for disease detection within a decade. So we're unsure about how well this sort of technology is going to work. And radiologists, whether they dislike AI tools that compromise their individuality, you will see that actually there is a large number, over 30%, that think that they might have a problem with that, and with a substantial proportion neither agreeing or disagreeing. So we like to keep in mind how we might be able to design tools that do not necessarily compromise that value that individuals add to the table. But with respect to the positive findings, you can see that actually radiologists are largely in agreement that it could alert people to findings, increase work efficiency, make diagnostic suggestions when they are not sure. And most radiologists agree that we should be responsible when error is made when using this sort of technology. So we should be the ultimate people that sign off the report. And surprisingly, I was quite surprised by this, most people think that our profession should change to embrace more interactions directly with patients. I wasn't really expecting that, because I think a lot of people who chose to go into radiology do so because they didn't really want that interaction. But it might be that this is an opportunity to change that as we actually move into the future. So we then asked how important it is to prepare for AI transformation right now. So how important is it for them to engage with stakeholders, and how important it is for them to start planning right now? And you can see that this is an average score. Over 70% think that we engage stakeholders now, and also over about 70% thinks that we should actually begin the planning. And we also asked, what should we do to prepare for AI? Is it to invest in education, pilot testing of tools, participate in projects that support curation of images and annotated imaging data at scale, and work with commercial vendors to develop specific AI tools? And you'll be pleased to learn that as a community, it seems that we are committed to this. We want to invest in education. Most people want to undertake some sort of pilot testing. We want to participate in projects that support curation of images and annotating images, and work with commercial vendors to develop specific AI tools that improve workflow. So this is a summary. As you can see, overall, I think radiologists do understand the importance of early engagement, and they really want to do that. So commercial vendors in the room might want to consider approaching the relevant departments to do this jointly together. We also asked people, what do they think about AI at the moment? How much do they trust what they see? This is a very general question, clearly, because we're not asking them for their viewpoint for a specific program. But I think the level of trust at the moment is moderate in both trusting the results of the AI, that the results are correct, and also that how often they will actually trust the results, that is actually low to moderate trust, because I do think that a lot of tools out there are just finding their way in getting the right level of validation. Then we also asked the role of the imaging physician. I mean, this comes back to the point, where we think if machines can actually improve work efficiency and potentially we have more time, would they embrace a diagnostic model that include more patient consultation? And actually, I was surprised as well in that you can see that the majority of people say that yes, in some areas for the high complexity studies like CT, MRI, and intervention, that they think that what we could add value to our profession is to have more direct consultation with the patients. And a substantial proportion, about 30%, think that we should be doing that in all areas of radiology. So we also asked what sort of AI tools would they prioritize. Some of these for cancer imaging, some of these are already available on the market, and we just wanted to understand to what extent people really think that these are tools that would help them in their daily work. So we wanted to ask, what about tools that automate tracking of tumors across multiple imaging time point and assess response to treatment? Because I think most cancer imaging radiologists would think that this is really the bread and butter of the work, but it's very time consuming. Tools that improve automatic or semi-automatic tumor segmentation, because that can inform radiotherapy planning as well as being applied to radiomics analysis of the future, for example. Tools that support radiologists in pro forma reporting that will allow annotated imaging data to be captured prospectively. Tools that help confidently identify normal studies so that radiologists can focus on reading abnormal examinations, and just general tools that identify tumors across the body. And you can see that for the need to find the tool that track tumor response across time, most people strongly agree that that is what is currently needed. And likewise, there is a strong agreement for the need for tumor segmentation tools, the need for annotated data to be prospectively captured, tools that help identify normal studies, and also to identify tumor across the body. So these are consistent across the whole cohort of people that we ask. We did also ask what is their experience, if any, with such tools that are currently available, and very quickly you can see that rating from 1 to 10, from being extremely satisfied to extremely dissatisfied, there is just no consistent trend. Clearly, we didn't ask the tools that they're using, but just generally, how do they feel? And you can see that although we have thought that these tools are to be prioritized, I think the message here is that really their lack of consistency in the satisfaction level across all these tools. Meaning to say, I think many of these tools are probably not good enough for one reason or another to be deployed in the clinical workflow. And I think it was important to also understand what are the current barriers to adopting AI tools. And perhaps not surprisingly, most people thought there are no reliable tools at the moment. And I think that's the other thing is the key, that the current tools are poorly integrated with radiological workflow. I think most of us as radiologists work on the PACS system, and many of the tools that either the SME or the larger corporations produce tend to be standalone units that really do not integrate with our workflow at all. And consequently, people just don't use them, even though they might perform satisfactorily. We did subgroup analysis to see whether there was any difference in response to these questions by age, sex, professional level, geographical location, Europe, America versus the rest of the world, and responses between radiologists and the smaller group allied professional. I'm happy to report actually the responses were exactly the same. So in conclusion, I hope the survey has helped to demonstrate that radiologists view AI development overall as positive, and these technologies are likely to make a small to large impact in the next 5 years. Radiologists feel that are in good agreement about the potential positive aspects of AI, but there's more disagreement about potential negative aspects reflecting uncertainties, for example, job security, and also how we are going to work. There's a recognition for the need to invest in education, active engagement with stakeholders, including commercial vendors, and prepare departments now for the AI developments. And also, radiologists know what tools are important for cancer imaging, but the performance of existing tools are highly variable. And the lack of reliable tools and poor integration into the radiologist's workflow are major barriers to adoption of the technologies currently. And I just want to add one more point to that, is that most radiologists seem to recognize that going forward, that they may want to engage patients more directly in their profession. And this may be a significant shift in the way we practice radiology of the future. So thank you very much indeed.